I would just like to share a profound spiritual Judaism experience. Ooh, I gotta get the Israeli flag out. One sec. Anyway, so about 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I struggle with porn. I do. I'm lonely. I'm isolated. That's the best way to describe my situation: is isolation, abandonment, and neglect. I have nobody, no family, no friends, nobody. I haven't really left this house maybe 7 times or 8 times total in the last year, and geez, a year and a half almost. Yeah, I'm disabled, so they even assigned me a community like support person, but then they switched my insurance and cut me off of that. So it's actually really messed up how Americans treat their disabled, mentally ill, etc. But staying here has been really healthy for me. I think because I spent so many years homeless, I'm very attached to having stability, to having a room, a roof over my head, running water, just the pillowcases, laundry detergent, like oh man, it's clothes. Oh my goodness, yeah. Actually collecting more than just what I can carry on my back, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, but I'm still lonely and I have no social connections. Despite being in the Bible Belt, all the white Christian, Southerners that are around here do a lot of drugs and alcohol, and etc. And I mean etc. So, and plus I don't believe in Christianity, so it's not like I can just attend a church in honesty. I definitely need human interaction. The last time I attended a Catholic church was, geez, almost a year ago now. And they had blacks driving around the church during service, blasting rap music, that boom, 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 the bass, right? I don't really call it music. It's like, feel the rhythm of pachyderms in heat, and elephants with explosive diarrhea. Hear the sound of Nikes beating on rooftops of police cars. Like, ugh. And smoking marijuana. That's literally what the blacks would do. They just circle smoking marijuana, blasting rap music, and that set off my schizophrenia, so I'm not attending that church anymore. Aside with the fact that I don't believe that Yeshua was Mashiach. I'm not fully converted to Judaism yet, so it's technically not against the rules, but it just doesn't feel right. Anyway. So I try not to break the law of Onan, but I also exercise like crazy. I've reversed my pre-diabetic diagnosis. My dad told me we had a genetic predisposition to diabetes, and therefore it was inevitable for me. He was diabetic at 23. I am diabetes free at 41. This is what happens when you're born with a hereditary high IQ. I knew my dad was lying to me even when I was 8 years old when he started telling me this lie. I noticed he ate a lot of McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts and, sugar and fatty foods and didn't exercise, so diet and exercise literally prevents not just diabetes, but all kinds of other issues. When doctors start prescribing exercise bicycles instead of marijuana, then I'll believe the medical industry is corrupted by greed. Anyway, exercise is also one of my non-narcotic pain management alternatives. So I do this pikuach nefesh thing where, I have a medical exemption to sin, specifically with masturbation. And it's valid. It does help gastric motility, right? You lose peristaltic contractions with diabetes, and it does help circulate blood to my amputated extremities, because sometimes I have poor circulation. And, flushes lymph and stuff like that. But it's not healthy for me psychologically or spiritually. So I don't like to do it. I don't want to sin. But I caught myself looking at porn on my phone, and it's like almost like an angel, or yeah. So years ago, I actually in a severe schizophrenic state from marijuana in New Mexico because they legalized it there, and the secondhand marijuana was putting me into really bad schizophrenia. One of the hallucinations was arguably an imaginary person who I called Kabbalah. It felt like a very real being, but they weren't physical. It was It felt real. And I want to believe it's real, but from a secular perspective, schizophrenia symptom. And, well, it felt like they were back, and it's like this voice in my head that's like, dude, what are you looking at? Come on, man, really? That's disgusting. And I was like, whoa. And even from a secular science perspective, I have this app called Chayenu, and it has the daily Tanya and the Midrash and stuff, and oh my goodness, Judaism is so much more intelligent and profoundly amazing than Christianity. And they're talking about a Rasha and a Benoni, and how a Benoni. So Judaism teaches that you have two souls: the animal soul and the godly soul, and the animal soul is the one that's inclined towards evil. You know, pleasures, physical pleasures, and so they say if you're saying prayers while in that state, the godly soul, which is like the right side of your heart, that and the brain gives the intellect the power to override the heart, which the left half of the heart is where the evil inclination is, and so the brain can control your desire. And the evil inclination takes 3 garments: thought, speech, and action. Right? It's really, really intelligent and great stuff. Love it. And so that helped me, so I didn't sin, and I haven't sinned since. With masturbation, I still look at pornography, I get tempted, and then I'm like, no. But it also discusses resisting physical pleasure, and on New Year's, for some reason, I was craving an ice cream sundae with fudge. And I know that's bad for me. I try not to binge on desserts as some sort of emotional painkiller or physical painkiller, etc. Because, you know, it used to be rough during the holidays, not being able to call my mom or my brother. These are adverse relationships. They are destructive towards me. I'm actually thriving because they're out of my life. They do drugs. My mom, I don't think, does marijuana, but my brother does, and my mom, yeah. It's a whole thing. So they used to be painful for me, the holidays, but not anymore. And it's weird because I'm completely alone. I mean, you know, Chanukah, right? I attend Zoom meetings with the local synagogue until school starts on the 15th of January. But somehow food is like this, it's similar to porn. It's like a binge, it's a drug, it's emotional therapy, it's, you know, like a substitute for love. And the ice cream sundaes and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh wow, this means that I think gluttony is a sin technically in the law of Moses or something, but the physical pleasure isn't just sex, it's also, you know, you could argue that diabetes is caused by succumbing to physical pleasure, the physical pleasure of binging out on sugar and ice cream and cake and unhealthy food. So and it's really interesting because Judaism is doing way better than Christianity, not just with this sort of stuff, right? Reading the Midrash and the Tanya and stuff like that, but also, you know, I think they're going to legalize marijuana federally. I think Joe Biden is controlled by the same people that control Donald Trump, these elite globalist bankers that control whoever is president. Doesn't matter, the agenda will be implemented, right? Gay marriage, immigration, marijuana, trans kids, whoever's in the White House doesn't matter. And instead of like freaking out and being, oh my god, life is over, it's a terrible disaster, we're all gonna die, somehow Judaism has given me this like amazing spiritual strength, I think, and I'm very grateful for that. Baruch Hashem. So I have no idea what's gonna happen. I pray not only does it not get legalized, but it gets recriminalized, right? Like decriminalization gets reversed. There is a lot of people arguing for this because the harms are so significant and so prevalent. But the bankers only care about the money. They don't care about the suicides, homicides, etc. So yeah, it seems like Judaism, hopefully, Hashem willing, might give me the keys, the tools, the power to not simply endure the age of corruption, suffering greatly, but, you know, adapt and overcome and maybe even thrive. Like get a degree, get a career, pay back the loans, become financially independent, get off welfare, get married, get my own house, start a family, things like that. I was afraid to have children because if I'm passing on that, gene mutation of schizophrenia, well, I'm fine as long as there's no marijuana. So arguably my kids would be fine. And if they legalize marijuana and it keeps increasing because he's corrupt, the age of corruption, I would be cursing a child by bringing them into this world. But you never know. Things might change. Hashem might just intervene on the current decline and change its direction. Baruch Hashem.